Hey, welcome back to Daily Flash. I'm Mitch English. Listen, we've all heard of mother's intuition, but since, we already passed through Father's Day, is there a father's intuition? Is that really a thing? Well, our next guest, psychic therapist and author Vincent joins us now with some thoughts on the father-child bond. Vincent, welcome back to the Daily Flash. We appreciate you having here. Let's get right to it. As I mentioned, that father's intuition, is it real? And how come we don't hear about that more often?
Oh, Mitch, they've been studying mother's intuition and connection with the children for years.
Yeah.
First, figured it was biological because the mother carried the child, that this mother was already in tune with the child, whether it's young or whether this child grows up to an adult. The mothers were always knowing where there was something wrong. So they figured it was biological. Then all of a sudden, the adoptive mother stepped in, and they were doing research with that and found that the mothers of adopted children also had the same kind of
Oh,
intuition.
wow.
So this led us to expand the understanding about intuition. Everybody is born with it. It's an innate part of who we are right from the get-go. So everyone has it, including fathers. But here was the thing. Where were the fathers when the mothers were having these children?
Okay.
The fathers were out of the home. They were out working. They weren't there by the child or anything. They were distracted. They're getting the information. They're getting an intuitive hit, but most of the time, as men do anyway, talk themselves out of that intuitive hit, or they weren't that concerned about it because they knew mom was home, mom would be able to take care of everything. So even if they heard, hey, Johnny's in trouble at school, just briefly, they would go, okay, well, my wife is home. She'll be able to take care of that. I got to finish work
Yeah.
over here. But that didn't mean that they didn't have the intuition. Now, Mitch, here's the greatest part. Since then and in modern times, male same gender relationships and partnerships that have adopted children.
Okay.
Now you've got two men, no female in there. And guess what they found? They found that the men have the exact same intuition, because not only are they tuned into the child because they're raising the child, they are the most responsible ones for the child now, but they've learned to listen and connect in that way very intuitively.
Okay.
They're attentive to that inner voice that occurs, Mitch. So yes, dads do have that intuition.
Okay,
But
I
there's
got to
some
throw this
things
out
that
there.
they have to do.
I have to throw this.
Yeah.
How is intuition different? And I'm not doubting you, by the way, when I say it like this, but it sounds like I am. How is that intuition not based on experience? Because first off, I know now, having a 13-year-old that I'm help raising, is that I
Right.
go off things that I did as a 14-year-old boy. Do you know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
also, I know that I could pull at the heartstrings of mom to kind of manipulate, if you will, that sort of thing. Is that part of the intuition, or is it misplaced?
No,
That he's going off of that.
actually, that's a great point. But that's like when you get to know each other, when people are together for a long period of time, they get to know what the other one is thinking, what's going to say. Is
Yeah.
that intuition? No, that part is not intuition, but that is very legitimate. They're going to know what the child, they can predict what the child is going to do based on evidence of what that child did in the past. But that's different
Okay.
than when you're there and when mom is there or dad is there at home, and all of a sudden they get this feeling, I don't know, I've got to call our son, I don't know what's going on. I just want to call him. I was just thinking about him. Something's going on. And then they make that phone call and find out that he's been in trouble. He's been laid off at work. He was in an accident,
Yeah.
whatever. It's that inner voice, which is different than that predictive voice.
Okay.
So, yes, we do know information about our children. Matter of fact, it's not just our children, it's our partners. I've been together with my wife for 52 years. I can almost tell you what she's going to do the next day before she even does it herself, based on my experience with her. But There are intuitive things that wind up coming up that's completely different. Like we wind up dressing the same or wearing the same colors. Why? It's like something said, you know, I want to wear blue today. And all of a sudden I find out that my wife says the same thing internally. Oh, you know, I want to wear blue today. And now we're a match. We're a match couple. And we get to go to the celebration and everybody thinks we're a cute old couple. You know what I mean? We dress alike. We're together all the time, right? But that happens, that inner voice.
Yeah.
The problem, Mitch, is that most men don't listen to that internal voice. They talk themselves out of it, or they say, oh, that's silly, he's okay. That's where the problem is. Whereas a mom, she will always respond to that inner voice because she's like so attentive to that child. Now, that attention was because she connected and attached with that child more than the father did. She breastfed. More mothers are around and taking care of children still than men are.
You have to do that. Vincent, it goes to show you how important being a parent is and being a father as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. For more information, just go to vincentgenna.com. Love that guy.